I would like to begin with some brief information about your background. Can you tell us where you went to law school?
I went to law school at Cleveland Marshall Law School.
And what kind of law did you practice?
I practiced personal injury law, defamation law, libel law, all representing plaintiffs.
Were you a sole practitioner or were you a member of a law firm?
Sole practitioner, but I came upon a partner. My very first year, I practiced alone, and I found that I needed some help in researching cases, finding cases, looking for cases, the statute of limitations problems, evidence problems. So I found a partner. The partner was a Cleveland Law Library.
How long were you practicing in Cleveland?
I practiced from 1960 to 2 years ago. I went on inactive, so it was about 57, 58 years.
And how long have you been a member of the Cleveland Law Library?
A long time. The exact time I can't remember, but it was from the very beginning is when I needed help, and I found it here.
How did you find out about us?
I was trying a case in this courthouse, and an issue came up about some evidence issues, and I didn't know the answer. And the trials judge said to me, at recess time, I want you to go upstairs to the 4th floor to the library and find the answer to this question. And that's how I first came to the law library.
Have you spent a lot of time here over the years?
I did. I found this was a great place to be, to come to, away from the telephone, away from the office, and come here to the library, and I got a lot of help here. So I was welcomed here, and I spent a lot of time here.
How often do you visit the Cleveland Law Library?
Well, I visited quite often when I was practicing law. The exact time I don't know. Then, of course, the library's been very helpful with telephones. Sometimes I would call in for an issue and somebody would research and call me back.
Would you say that a lot has changed at the Cleveland Law Library over the years?
It has, for the better. I think some of the programs which have been initiated here by Catherine Dugan and others, the administrator, have been very, very helpful. We're in a computer age, we're in the internet age, and it's very nice to be able to plug into some of the programs which are very helpful here.
Has the Cleveland Law Library helped you with any landmark cases in the course of your career?
Oh yes. They helped me with the case, libel case of Carl Stokes, who used to be the mayor of the city of Cleveland, with the libel case of Chief Justice Frank Celebrezzi, researched here, with Justice Francis Sweeney of the Ohio Supreme Court here, with Representative Mary Rose Okar, research here. And then the injury cases I got a lot of help from. I got great cases from Wagner versus Huffman-LaRoche, was a pharmaceutical case where the FDA had approved the drug, and we were contesting the drug at that time that it didn't have adequate warnings. That case, Wagner versus Huffman-LaRoche, went to the United States, went to the Supreme Court of Ohio twice. Hawkins versus Ivy was an interesting case where I represented a client who rear-ended a parked car. At that time and today, there's a law that says you have to keep it a assured clear distance from the car ahead of you, and my client ran into the car. Much debate up to the Ohio Supreme Court, where the court ruled that the defendant leaving his car unattended was an act of willful and wanton misconduct. That was a very helpful case. The big case, I thought, was the case that contested tort reform for the first time in Ohio. The Ohio House had passed a very expansive tort reform bill. It affected damages, parties, evidence, a great deal, and I was the attorney for the Ohio Academy of Trial Lawyers at that time. And that case was a mandamus prohibition case, very difficult case, but we went to the Ohio Supreme Court, which overturned the tort reform case law in Ohio, House Bill 350. That was very important. And I got a lot of help from the library on those issues. That was a big time. And I think those are the major cases. There were others that didn't require much notoriety, but the cases I mentioned to you were significant to me. And I don't think I could have got through them without some extensive help from the law library on very issues that the court was inquiring about. So I'm very grateful for the law library.
What do you remember most about our staff, past or present?
Total dedication to me. When I came in with a problem, I was the most important thing to the person I was speaking to. There were no other problems that they were dealing with, they were helping me. So having a partner like that to me was, and everybody here treated me the same way. I've forgotten the first administrator, might have been Art Fisk. And from him all the way to the present time with Kathy and with you and with others, I have been the sole person of concern whenever I came here with a problem. And incidentally, my problems were always solved.
Would you say that a lot has changed in legal practice since you began your career?
It has. What's happened in practice now is some of the cases and some of the elements of damages that people can recover have been amended and changed, and there have been some case law which has changed quite a bit. But the biggest thing I found was the literature that's come out for practicing attorneys. Book after book keeps coming out by attorneys who are telling you how to try a case, how to present yourself to the jury, how to do this, how to do that, and some of the suggestions are theatrical in nature, and I'm upset with that. I think the jury, if you're doing jury work, not corporate work or probate work or corporation work, but if you're doing work in the trial of a case before a jury, you must be yourself. I was trying one of my last cases, and I used big boards rather than overhead projectors, because the big board, I can keep my hand on it, I can move it, I can touch it in front of the jury, I can show it to the jury. It's not an internet thing. You can look at it, and I can pick it up many times during the trial without starting up a machine to see on a screen. So I would use the boards quite a bit during cases. And I remember at one case, I was trying it, and I had 3 or 4 boards. One was the emergency room record, and it was about that high and about that big, and it was usual, and I had been using it throughout the trial. During the closing argument, I made a reference to it, and the jury was in panel at that time, had listened to the entire case. And I turned around and I said, "Where is that emergency room board that I had?" And a juror leaned out of his chair and pointed and said, "Over there." And the jury pointed it. What did that mean? That means to me that the jury was involved in the case. And the jury was paying attention. And the jury knew, for an example, that I had misplaced it somewhere. There was a human element to the approach as an attorney, and I think that's very important. Most jurors have daughters, sons, relatives of one kind or another who have made mistakes in their life, and they've made some themselves. So they're not looking for an actor at the trial. They're looking for a human being who's been trained to present a case and who will make mistakes. And so there's a connection. When you make a small mistake like I made it in misplacing a trial exhibit, the jury was involved in it. So therefore, if you go to some of the literature that's out now, presented by plaintiffs' lawyers who recovered megaton verdicts, and you listen to them, some of them are teaching you how to act. You have enough to worry about as a lawyer without worrying whether or not I should be standing 3 feet or 4 feet from a juror, whether or not I should be looking at the jurors, not looking at the jurors. And so being distracted and becoming an actor works against you as a lawyer. And I think that's a big disadvantage I see now. Book after book is teaching you how to act, and some people can't act. Some lawyers can't act. That's what I think the big change has been.
What services that the Cleveland Law Library offers have you taken advantage of?
I took advantage of the knowledge that the people that work at the Cleveland Law Library had. For an example, I would ask, has case been decided on a pharmaceutical case in Ohio? And they would look that up and bring the case to me, if there was any, and there were a couple that were. Or I'd say, can you claim under wrongful death injuries to loss of profits for your corporation that you ran? I would bring that question to the Cleveland Law Library, and they would find the case or find a rule that would permit it or not permit it. So it was those kinds of things that I was involved with here. And of course, the other thing I always appreciated was when they referred me and I would ask for the cases, they would bring the cases to a table like this, and I could spend an hour or two reading. No telephone, nobody coming into the office, no secretary coming in. It's just you, the books, and the library. And I appreciated that very much.
What is your favorite service that the Cleveland Law Library offers?
Welcome. The welcoming that the library gives. In other words, you come to the Cleveland Law Library with an issue or a problem, they welcome you. You're not a bother to them. I think it's the open door welcoming policy of the Cleveland Law Library which makes it great. It's a great partnership between the lawyer and the legal knowledge that you need.